Morning, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Gonna get started with this week weekly trading outlook. So we're gonna get started. As usual, I'll go over the position that I'm live in, and then we'll get started with the outlook. So hope everyone is well. Hope everyone got in some of these positions that I talk about, that I've been updating everyone in my Telegram and in all my analysis on TradingView. So hopefully you caught some of these move. I personally is in Nasdaq, and I am also in dollar yen and Swiss yen. Right, these ones were even from last week. So dollar yen pushed down quite a bit. I think this is the London session. So a lot of these positions all end up pushing out pretty well. Same with the dollar pairs. Same with the dollar pairs. So I'm gonna go over all the dollar pair as well, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. So dollar yen I'm in, Swiss yen I'm in as well. So we'll take a look all that. I'm just giving another 30 seconds or so for everyone to join, and then we'll get started. Okay. If you have any pairs that you want me to take a look, feel free to let me know. I'll get to it eventually. I'm going through all the market, of course, so it's going to be a long time, but I'll go through all the market as usual. So, yeah, I just woke up, by the way. Someone messaged, yeah, I'm drinking coffee. I just woke up. I woke up around maybe 6-ish in the morning. I'm in West Coast of North America, right? I think I woke up around 6:20 or something. So, but that's usually the time I wake up, and then I'll go on the chart. So it's like a routine now for me. Sometimes I'll drink coffee in the morning, sometimes I won't. So it's just depending on my mood. Hey, buddy, no problem. So, hey, Jojo, been following you for a few months. Thank you for the great content. Has helped me immensely to fine-tune my trading, avoid costly mistake and impulsive moves. Great. Yeah, I'm glad all the videos help. I'm glad all the streams help. Good, good, good. Nice to see you all. Nice to see some familiar faces. So why don't we get started now? Why don't we get started now? So as I say, I'm live in three of these positions. Some live Nasdaq, live in dollar yen, and live in Swiss yen. So all these were updated in last week trade recap video. If you guys recall from my last week midweek market update, I was in Swiss yen and dollar yen. I mentioned in Telegram I exit the trade on Friday for small profit and re-enter them, and I also enter Nasdaq as well. Okay, so three position running right now. I think they're in pretty good profits, and I haven't even moved the stop loss to break even. I'll be honest. I'm gonna move them all as I go through the market. Okay, so let's start with dollar yen here. Dollar yen, if we look at the higher time frame, we talk about this many, many times with the double top that we're seeing and kind of have a false breakout on the higher time frame, right? So that's all a very good confluence when I talk about how we had a false breakout, push back, and then correctively move up, right? This is like an M style pattern that we're familiar with. Double top here. And now if we see a larger ascending channel, smaller ascending channel, impulse down, breaking out of the ascending channel, and then continuation correction here, right? So it's pretty no-brainer here. I mentioned Wednesday I got in this position here and pushed down. I didn't like how the price is moving up a little bit aggressively, so I opted to exit the trade for 1%, but I re-enter the trade once I see kind of a rising wedge that pushing the price up. So tag me in here. Notice there's a few small of these correctional structures, right? So that's all a sign from the market telling you that these are all continuation corrections, and basically the impulsive move is going to happen, and if we push down. And so many people on different, trading view posting about long on dollar yen. Again, it's just about following your plan and your strategy and your analysis, right? So don't get deviate from your own, right? So make sure you back test, make sure you're confident in exiting your strategy. That's going to help you in the future, of course. So dollar yen right now, it's running 3-1, 3 point something to 1. So I'll move the stop loss to 1 to 1 now. Let me just see what it is. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 82. 109.82. 109.82. 109.82? Yeah, 109.82. Okay. Okay, so that's how I am with dollar yen now. So I secure one-to-one profit. My plan is just basically seeing how far it will go. Is it actually going to reach this low? I'm fine. See if it's going to develop a continuation correction. Actually looking to scale in a position if that actually happens, and looking for this move down to the bottom here, right? Talk about this when price broke out of that ascending channel. I mentioned there's very likely we're going to get continuation correction here and then push down the price. So expecting another continuation if that's going to happen, and looking for the downside afterwards to hit the low. That's dollar yen. Let's look at Swiss yen here. So Swiss yen from the higher time frame. Basically, I talk about this like every week or every stream. Higher time frame is pretty clear with a continuation possibility, and I like how the overall higher time frame is in the parallel channel, ascending channel, at the top of the overall structure. And lower time frame wise, we first initially we got this potential sell, right? Really strong bearish push down. And actually, when we see this kind of strong bearish push down, there is going to be some sort of continuation correction. This is kind of how I was looking at to see if this bigger correction will complete, and basically just looking for a continuation from the top of this continuation correction to see if we're just going to push out of here, and then looking for further scaling if that's going to happen. So basically just as I said on Wednesday, same with dollar yen, I did got in on here on Wednesday on dollar yen. I had a kind of a correction here, push down, and then I was looking to see if this is going to be a flag correction. The only part was this part was pushing up, and I wasn't know if this is going to continue all the way up to my entry point, and I didn't want a trade that was basically hitting about 1-to-1 or 1.5 to 1 and up with the break even. And this is the previous kind of a low area where price is consolidating before the drop. So that's when I moved my stop loss to around this area. And basically price just barely take me out here. That's fine. I got it for about 0.6% or so. And when I see this forming of the continuation correction after, then I just set another entry order on Friday, and price tag me. Same idea, 40 pips. Same idea in terms of kind of a target or where I'm looking at. I want to see how the price will react when we hit this bottom of that higher time frame ascending channel. And if it does break out, then definitely looking for possible scale in entry if it's going to push down lower. Everything on the higher time frame all still valid and still makes sense, right? We're still anticipating this potential run. Whether or not it goes down in the one line or not, or it might go down, pull back, go down, pull back. We don't know how it's going to work, but the downside move is very promising. It's very, very clean in my opinion. So I think looking for the downside is very reasonable in this sense. So that's Swiss yen, and the last one is Nasdaq, right? So Nasdaq, we talk about this on Friday as well. I've been talking about selling. I've been talking about shorting the indices for quite a bit of time, and the key here is being patient, right? When the price correctively moving up, I get all these messages saying, "Oh, why are you buying Nasdaq?" Well, this move is corrective, right? You can tell that this is not an impulsive move. This is a move that's correctively moving up. So there's no point when it's already breaking all these all-time highs to be start buying more and more, because if we know how the indices move, we look at how previous indices move, they're always going to move up correctively just to see the bearish drop, right? Correctively move up just to see the bearish drop. That's just how the indices move. And we're seeing that the same idea across other indices here, right? Same idea of the higher time frame parallel channel that we're seeing. So basically, when we're looking at the Nasdaq here, we have this higher time frame top, right? We have a few swing highs and few swing lows, and basically price formed this ascending channel, and then just basically break out of that ascending channel very, very impulsively. So I was basically looking for a continuation, right? Basically, this is how we're always going to look at. We're looking at this correctively move up in the ascending channel, and this move up is not followed by continuation to go higher. Instead, it is followed by a reversal. This is pretty much the key turning point of the price, right? So you know that this price moving up in the ascending channel is corrective, and this last bit of the price impulse up and did not continue or bullish continuation. Instead, it becomes a bearish reversal, right? So that is the turning point of the price, in my opinion. We impulsively break out of not only this structure and the ascending channel, we also form a continuation correction on Friday, right? This is where Friday was. So I just set an entry order, tag me in, and price basically is pushing down. It's running 3.321 or something like that. So very good. Oh, I forgot to change the stop loss. So I'll move my stop loss to 1-to-1 now. So 14710, 14710. 14710, safe. Okay, so 1-to-1, or I secure 1-to-1 profit here. We'll see how the price goes. Definitely gonna give price some room to correct if it's going to, because this is already an impulsive move. We're kind of breaking below this previous low now. So any type of continuation correction here, I think it's just very valid to look for another sell or look for a scaling entry. Even just down to the beginning of this ascending channel, which is like my first initial target. I'm gonna run about 10-to-1 already. And if this is going to be that the market correction that we are anticipating to happen, then I expect price to break out and then continue down. Whether or not it's going to continue all the way there, that's not going to be in one move, right? It's going to be multiple of correction, in my opinion. But I definitely do see at least the price to reach this low here, and then we will reevaluate to see how the price will do. I think I forgot to move Swiss yen's price. Let me just double check. So I'll move Swiss yen to break even first. I don't want to move to 1-to-1 yet. I think it might choke the price. So I'll move Swiss yen to break even first. So 11920, 11920. I'll move to 119.18. Wait, it's 11970. So 11968 is the one I want to move to. 11967, okay. Safe. Okay, so there it is. So I move all the trade to secure. So I'm not going to be at any more risk, right? Some of them in profit, some of them in break even, and I'm very happy like that. So that's it. Let's continue now. Okay, so those are the three positions. Like I said, Swiss yen, dollar yen, and Nasdaq. Okay, so why don't we get started now? Why don't we get started now with the outlook? I'm going to start with all the Forex pair first, and then I'll go into commodities, indices, and crypto in that order. Okay, so like I said, any pairs, questions, let me know in the chat. I'm going to start going now. I'll look at what you guys are saying as well. So, okay, so let's get going now. Every trade I touch flies into my direction. Yeah, well, this time it's working out great, right? But not every time, right? So we don't be overly confident or we don't be overly happy if the trade works out, because the trade can just easily backfire as well, right? So your first live video, great. Welcome, join. Take a look at gold. I will take a look at gold. Nice to see you again, Rolando. Nice to see you. Is gold dropping or silver dropping? Or I do have bias on bearish on silver and gold anyway, so I'll talk about those when we get to them. But let's start with dollar index. Let's start with dollar index now. So we talk about dollar index all the way from the bottom here. I bring this up because we've been talking about a potential dollar strength, right? And this basically gives you a very good a bias of where the dollar is going. I like how we have that double bottom here and price basically break out. And to me, we're basically forming another correction here. That's kind of how I see this current correction is. But I mentioned this since last week. I want to see price at least break above this high here, and then continuation after. That's going to give us more by confirmation here if we're going to look for low. Now, this is going to be pretty much mirror euro dollar, as we know, right? Euro dollar is basically inverse related to dollar index, but it's the same idea up here. You can either draw the structure like this, right, which is the same as euro dollar. It's kind of looking like a little bit ascending like euro, right? So we need to be a little bit more careful because If this is going to be the structure that the price is likely to form, so if this is going to correctively move up to that double top, then it becomes a more of a bearish kind of price action in my eye. So we're gonna be careful to see how the price in this area is going to reach this high. If it's going to impulsively break up, great. We're looking for continuation for the further dollar strength. If it's going to correctively move up, then we're going to look for a possible reversal, right? It's very simple. So have your plan, have your bias, have your forecasting all ready to go so you're not making emotional decisions when it comes to this area. So, but of course, I'm more leaning towards a bullish potential, a bullish continuation. That's what I would prefer to see as well. And I want to see if price basically further up, pushing the price up, and then continue the dollar strength, and we can potentially get in a lot of dollar pairs as well. So dollar index pretty much looking like this. And let's start with a couple of dollar pairs. Let's start with euro dollar. So euro dollar, basically it's that kind of falling wedge kind of thing, which is kind of inverse related to that rising wedge we talk about on dollar index. So the sell, in my opinion, is already happened, right? We talk about this euro dollar sell. A lot of us got in on the euro dollar sell here, but as the price continued to move down like this a little bit more correctively, again, we need to understand that this is the previous low that the price is almost reaching. It doesn't necessarily have to touch the low, but it's kind of how the price gets to this low, right? And because there's a few scenarios that I point out here, if we look at the price here, because we're correctively moving down, right? We're correctively moving down like this. You need to be careful because if it continues to move down correctively like this, then it's the same bias like the dollar index where we need to be careful where how the this potential is going to form a double bottom and price may impulsively break up and then continue at least to this high. So this is kind of how if this falling wedge continues to develop that way. But the alternative way, which the way is kind of what I'm looking to see or expecting to see, is I want to see the breakdown for the price, right? Even though it's forming this kind of a descending structure, even though it's forming a potential reversal, but if this is going to break down, breaking past this previous low, and still form continuation afterwards, then I still think the sell is reasonable. I still think the bearish price action is reasonable. We still have this double top. We still have this ascending channel. We still have this impulse and move. This can just be a correction, even though it's usually going to be a reversal type of correction, but we can still expect price to break below this pass. And basically, we're looking for further continuation from this area, looking for a scale, looking for further downside from the price. And if we look at the higher time frame here, this is basically that low we're talking about, right? And that's why it's very crucial here because if the price moved down correctively that way, then basically it might form a double bottom, like I said, and pushing the price up, then you can basically see the structure like this, right? But if it does break indeed, if it does break down lower and continue like this, then you're almost looking at this as a moment more of a slanted head and shoulder. So the pattern itself is not complete, and this is kind of the, I guess I want to say the beauty of looking at the charts is that you can basically give yourself a different scenario, a different bias, but the ultimate confirmation is still going to be on the price, right? So I can argue that this could be a potential long if this move down correctively and then reverse. That's all totally fine because this makes it that this is an impulsive move. This is just a larger correction to go further upside. That is one case of scenario, right? Whereas if the price does indeed break below and then continuation afterwards, then this becomes a bigger reversal kind of head and shoulder and we go down afterwards. So always understand that when you can comfortably argue or when you can comfortably point out different scenario and they all make sense, it's best interest to wait, right? There is no reason for you to be buying and selling here when it's getting so close to this kind of key level area. That is kind of how I would take a kind of approach euro dollar in this case. Okay, so that's euro dollar. Let's take a look at pound dollar. Any question, guys? Just let me know. Okay, I'm just gonna go through my speed here. So, good morning, hello everyone. Hello, nice to see you, Victoria. Kiwi Swiss, I will go over that after. I'll make sure I go over that. DXY looks different, but possible price action. I don't know if I can't see your screenshot King username. If you're welcome to share a screenshot, I can take a look. Kiwi Dollar, Kiwi Yen. Kiwi Yen I'll talk about. Kiwi Dollar, not really on my watch. There's reason because Kiwi Dollar hasn't really break out of this correction that's in. Now I do favor a downside. Like I want to see this breaks out and then possible continuation. That's what I would prefer to see in this scenario. But it's not my watch list because I still think this is still in a correction. Preferably, we're going to see breakout and then continuation. That's what I prefer to see. But I don't know if can just bounce off from here and then make another move up to the top before the sell. We don't know that yet, right? So it's best to wait a little bit in that case. What idea about gold? My gold, I'm looking for potential sell. I will go over gold after I finish basically all my currency pairs, so it's going to be a little bit long, but I will go over gold hopefully after all the currency ones. So pound dollar, I've been talking about pound dollar for the sell for pretty much months now, right? Since May or even earlier than that. Basically, price does indeed push out of this smaller ascending channel, and we also push out the larger ascending channel. So basically, looking for sell opportunities, right? When we break out, when we know that higher time frame structure is breakout, there is a lower time frame continuation as well. Now, because we're getting very, very close to this low, it's kind of the same as euro dollar. You want to be careful because we're approaching to this low, and well, certainly price can just break the low and continue. That's kind of what we want to see. But we also understand that this is kind of the previous low when price kind of make that double bottom and push up, right? So preferably is to wait for price to break below, and then if it's a continuation correction after, then I do think the sell is pretty reasonable. We already formed this double top, we already formed this kind of an M style structure, and we already pushed out and correct. So all the bearish confluence, in my opinion, is there, but just the last bit of the price is same as euro dollar. It's like this low has to be broken, and then continuation to give us a very good bias for sell, right? If we look at the higher time frame here, it's basically making similar things, like similar price action like the one before. We talked about this a few times. I like how they're basically mimic each other in terms of price action. This is clearly kind of ascending channel. We have an M style pattern, double top, and then price pretty much impulse down. So same idea here. The double top is there, the M style pattern is there, the ascending channel is there as well. Whether or not this move actually plays out like this, that fiercely, of course I can't predict that, but I definitely do see a potential downside that could happen, which is going to be able to capitalize in the near future. And I like the overall price action here on the lower time frame. I think everything looks clear. So this is the last low that we should be keeping an eye on. Breaks out, continuation, then definitely looking for a further sell. Very, very clean and very, very easy price action to do your analysis on. Pound Aussie, I will go through that. I see some of you guys are in Pound Aussie or interested in Pound Aussie, but I'm not, but I'll go over that after. I'm just going through in order, guys, so just have to go through each pair one by one. Possible descending nature towards the bottom. Which pair are you talking about, Forex Solution Academy? Which pair are you talking about in terms of possible descending nature? Do I think pound dollar looks cleaner than euro dollar? I do. I think pound dollar looks cleaner than euro dollar because euro dollar is basically moving down correctively. I'm not saying this has to reverse, right? This easily can just be a correction to go further. But because we're used to seeing something like this, which is very, very reversal-like, right? Whereas pound dollar is pretty clear with like a correction. Like this looks like a continuation correction that we're always used to see, right? So if I was to choose pound any of these dollar, I would choose pound dollar over euro dollar. Possible descending nature towards the bottom. I guess if you see it this way, which is what a lot of you guys saw. I even saw one person enter this with a buy. I don't think it's just a buy, but again, this is all depends on how you want to draw the structures. Of course, you can draw it this way, and there's probably nothing wrong with that. But my bias here is because we broke on this higher time frame structure and the lower time frame structure. To me, this is an impulsive move, right? So I don't draw the structure while the price is in the impulsive move. Remember, when we draw the structure on the corrective part. We don't include the impulsive part in the correction. Okay, but certainly this is makes sense, right? Certainly this is valid if someone is looking for a buy like this. But again, it's just different perspective, right? No right or wrong. If you're looking for possible reversal like this, then you probably want to wait for price to push up and then correction to go, right? Whereas my bias here is, well, I'm not going to short here, but I'm only going to short if it breaks out, followed by continuation. So even though there is different view on it, but if we follow our plan, we will not get tagged in, or we're not going to make emotional decisions, because even if someone is looking for a buy like this, you're not buying right here when there's no confluence, right? You want to be buying when there's lower time frame push up, lower time frame bullish continuation, breaks out, and then possible another buy here. If that's kind of how you have a buy kind of bias, right? And whereas if I have a sell bias, I'm only looking when price breaks this previous low and then form continuation. So either or, right? Either or, there's no right and wrong here. It's kind of waiting for price to develop into the right price action. I think that is the key here. Okay. So that is pound dollar. Let's move on to dollar CAD. Dollar CAD actually pushed up massively. So some of you guys got it, but I personally did not. The dollar CAD pushed up from the bottom here, right? We first know that the dollar CAD formed this kind of a reversal structure. We push up the price. There is another correction here. Push up the price again and basically forming another continuation and just push up massively. I did enter a few dollar CAD position, if you guys recall, from 2 weeks ago, but basically they end up with all break even, but couldn't catch this move. But basically, I'm pretty it's very en route to going to reach this high here, right? So good job on your part if you catch this move. I personally didn't, but I think the move is very, very clean. You're just likely to get small correction here and then eventually reach this high. So good on your part if you catch this overall move. I personally catch this move, but was able to catch this. But hey, sometimes that's gonna happen. So it's again about your emotion and things like that. You're never going to catch every single move, but this is only going to build confidence in your analysis and your strategy and in yourself, right? So sometimes when you do backtesting, or sometimes when you see charts that play out, instead of being negative about not catching the move, change your perspective and be positive and understand that, okay, well, I forecast the move correctly. Next time I'll be able to catch the move. Then you move on and you move on to other opportunities, right? So dollar CAD, like I said, there's really no point of buying here now because you're so close to this previous high, right? I saw so many people, again, just like dollar yen, where people are looking for long on dollar yen, so many people are looking for short on dollar CAD, right? And I really didn't think that was the case based on higher time frame and everything. We talk about higher time frames, really, really clean double bottom here. And this is the previous low. There is no previous low after that. So this is a significant area where price is likely to react. And if we look at the lower time frame, we have that higher time frame descending channel down, lower time frame reversal. So all the price is basically showing you exactly how it's going to do, right? It's just whether or not how to find or identify an entry point that's going to help you catch this run. So that's dollar CAD. So good job on your part. If you caught this. So dollar CAD. No, I'm not going to enter. I think it's too late, at least from my point of view. It's likely to form continuation to go higher, but I think because they're so close to the top, there is no 3-to-1 risk reward that I can try to fit in here. Okay, so that's why I'm not looking to enter this one. Pound Swiss. Yeah, I'll go over that after. So I'm just highlighting right now, so I'll make sure I go over those when I get to them. By the way, I'm looking at the new TradingView logo. I don't know if you guys like it or not, but I don't think the TradingView logo is that great. I don't know. I hate to be saying it that way, but I don't really think the TradingView logo is good compared to before. Let me know what you guys think. Personally, I don't think it's kind of odd, at least from my point of view. So let's go on here. Dollar yen, we went over this in the morning, right? I mean earlier in the day. So I'm basically just waiting to see what the price will do. After such an impulsive move, we know we're gonna get continuation or at least some sort of correction here, right? So if it does form correction, I'm looking for possible scaling because we broke this previous low. I like how we broke this low here, and if we form continuation here, I think it's very valid to look for another sell down to the bottom here, right? And we talk about all the confluence we have from higher time frame down to lower time frame. So certainly is looking very clean to continue down further if we just get another correction here, or even just a smaller one. Right? I like how we break this previous low. I think that's the key here, because this previous low was this continuation correction that moved down. So all that is very valid for me to look for a scaling entry. So we'll see how this one goes. Definitely, it's running pretty good, about close to 3 to 1. So looking for another move down to a null. This is where I usually will take profit anyways. This completes the higher time frame structure as well. Okay. So that's all the dollar pair, guys. Why don't we move on to the yen pairs? Some of you guys are asking about the yen pairs. So let's look at the yen pairs now. You prefer the old logo? Yeah, I prefer the old TradingView logo as well, to be honest. I don't really think the new one looks that great, but hey, that's their choice. So just want to start with Aussie Yen because someone asked about Kiwi and I think they're basically similar. So Aussie Yen massively pushed down, right, from the top here. So impulse down, correction here, impulse down, correction here, and impulse down. Now, last week I mentioned this is an area that you need to watch out for. If it doesn't form double bottom to push up higher for another move down, then I expect price to break through, which is exactly what happened in this case. So I think a lot of these yen pairs, I mean, I would say all the yen pairs are basically bearish, right? I think everyone would agree all the yen pairs are looking very bearish. So we are basically breaking this past low now. So I don't think jumping in here now is valid. You probably want to wait for another correction to look for another sell. And just watch out for this previous low now, which was the previous impulse correction to lead to this impulse. So all you need to really worry about is either we're going to get a correction here to go lower, or we're just going to break through this part and then correction to go lower. So I just don't think jumping in here is valid right away. There is no correctional structure while in this scenario. But if it develops something, if it starts consolidating here, which is what you want to see, then certainly downside is very, very possible, or downside continuation is very possible. Cat Yen also moved down, but again, it's all at this previous low now, right? This is the previous low that I talk about. If price is able to break the previous low, then we expect price to go down further, right? So when we look at this previous outlook that I talk about, because we're getting very, very close to this low, and I expect kind of this to happen, hitting this low, and we might form a deeper correction to form a larger head and shoulder pattern. So this is an area, if you're in the trade, you might want to be a little bit more careful, whether it is to move your stop loss or whatever, or just move down your stop loss. That's kind of what I meant. And because this move happened quite fiercely already, so you want to be careful to see if we're going to continue lower, which is great. If it breaks lower, if it breaks this lower level and continuation after, then this certainly is great. But also understand that because we moved down quite a bit already, we might see a deeper correction, basically forming a larger head and shoulder, which is all makes sense because on a higher time frame, we're at this previous top now, right? Again, when I talk about double top, doesn't necessarily need to hit the trend line or a resistance line, whatever people call it. It's about how the price gets to that top, right? So to me, this is a double top. To me, this is a reversal. And if we get kind of a head and shoulder here at the top of the overall price, and on a higher time frame, then strong possibility for a reversal. Okay, so that's CAD Yen. Swiss Yen, we went over this right earlier when I talked about the trade I'm in. Higher time frame wise, just looks really clean for downside, and basically lower time frame is already pushing down. So looking for price to actually break out. If that's going to happen, breakout and then continuation, that would be nice to look for entry, even down to the next previous low. You're in Kiwi Yen and Aussie Yen. Good job on your part. Yeah. Pound Aussie. Yeah, I'm going in order, my friends. Some math. Sorry. I'm just going in order, my friends, so I can't jump to it. I'm just going in order of my watch list, but I will eventually get to Pound Aussie, Pound Swiss that you talk about. So basically having the correct higher time frame is the most important thing, because then in lower time frame you can draw both bullish and bearish structure, but you only focus on the one that confirm your higher time frame bias. Basically, that's basically right. But remember, I talked about that in my Telegram, and someone kindly disagree because they want to enter lower time frame, and that's fine as long as that fits their plan. But by doing what I do in terms of multi-time frame analysis, making sure the higher time frame bias is there, making sure the lower time frame bias is there, it's just going to add probability. It's going to add more confluence for your trade. That's just really what it is, right? So is it wrong to be buying here to the top? No, it's not wrong if that fits someone's plan. But does it align with the higher time frame direction? It doesn't, right? But if they can comfortably enter and exit in a short manner, if that fits their plan, then there is nothing wrong, right? But I prefer making sure the higher time frame, lower time frame all align up together, right? That's just going to add extra confluence when I'm looking for a trade. And I think this all comes down to how much money you're trading, your account size, what is your goal. A lot of people trade these because they want to try to, gain more profit, double their account, things like that, because they're catching every single opportunities. In my opinion, in short time that will work out, but probably not in a long time. If you have larger capital, you have more at risk, it's in your favor to trade less and take less positions if you're trading a larger account. That's really the difference, right? So dollar pairs, I basically went over all the dollar pairs already, guys, so you might have to rewatch some of it. Okay, but basically I'm only interested in like pound dollar, basically looking for potential sell opportunity if it's going to continue lower, breaking past this line. If it's going to, I want to wait for price to break out. I think dollar CAD's move already happened, so I don't think dollar CAD is any more potential buy position because the move has already happened, right? So I don't think there's any buy opportunity. We're getting very, very close to the top. So even if there is form of correction here, I don't think, at least for me, for my plan and management, I'm not looking to buy here at least. So other than that, not much. Like I said, euro dollar is waiting to see how the price get to this low. Euro yen has moved down quite a bit. I do think euro yen has moved down quite a bit, but certainly continuation is possible, right? So the move has already happened. There is few correction here. We moved down once again, but we're basically breaking all these previous low, which is good, right? So if we pass this previous low, we broke this previous low, is it going to form continuation to go down further? It might not always form a flag. And sometimes people say, well, it doesn't form a flag that you talk about. Well, of course it doesn't form a flag always, right? I wouldn't know how big or how long a correction would go, but we know that there's likely to be another consolidation here if it's going to happen, but it's going to lead to further downside, right? So I think it dropped quite a bit. If we look at today, it's almost $1 that it dropped today. If you look at this move from the beginning, right? So it's about 90 pips already. So I think it did drop quite a bit. You're likely going to see something like this, a little bit more of a bullish pullback, but it becomes a bearish continuation, right? That's tend to be how the price moves. If you notice from all the way up here, when we have a strong impulse down, price had a pretty deep pullback, right? But it ends up forming a bigger continuation correction, and we went down. It went down once again. We make another kind of a bullish pullback and it goes down again, makes another kind of bullish pullback and goes down again. So basically you can expect something like this to go down further. As long as everything on the higher time frame to lower time frame is still valid and doesn't change, I still think nothing. I think all that is still valid to look for a sell afterwards. Just watch out for this low now because we're getting close to this low, and this is also kind of a low for a double bottom for the price to continue up. So I think this is an area to watch out, just like Aussie Yen and Cat Yen that we talk about. Hello, Steve. Nice to see you. Pound yen. So pound yen actually broke out this higher time frame structure now. Finally, right? We see this move all the way from the top here. It made several attempts, but eventually dropped down. This is all kind of corrective, which is not really what the price we want to see, right? We want to see price to actually impulsively break down. Too bad that it didn't impulsively break down, but nevertheless, in my opinion, we're breaking out of the structure now. We broke out the structure here, so I think a continuation correction here, it's very, very valid to look for downside, right? This is kind of what we're expecting to see. Finally, it breaks out. So I think that's a really key here is that once this correction is over, this is kind of a higher time frame potential reversal structure. We broke out the price, so I think continuation here is very valid to look for. And if we look at the higher time frame here, again, this is that previous top that the price is reacting, right? So basically a double top. You can call this kind of a ascending structure, or you want to call it like a more of no, just ascending structure in general, right? You don't have necessarily a channel, but basically it's telling you a reversal structure here. We're breaking down now. So if we get continuation here, I think that's fine to look for a sell because this is a higher time frame top now, right? And this is showing you strong kind of bearish reversal. And you see how this impulsive move moving up is not continue with some sort of continuation to go higher. Instead, it is forming a reversal, and that's kind of a turning point, in my opinion. Pound yen, so last one, Kiwi yen here. So Kiwi yen broke out, actually hitting this previous low now, which is kind of what we're expecting it to hit, right? So from all the way down the top here, we finally broke out of this ascending channel, and we basically pushed down all the way to this previous low now, which is kind of what I'm expecting the price to do. So once we hit this low, I expect price to continue down, and if we can form correction to go further, right? Again, this move is not as impulsive, right? We have the impulsive move, but this a deeper correction is formed. Another impulsive move, a deeper correction is formed. But all this is telling you that the bearish move is still valid, right? It's just not going down in a straight line, but price impulse correct, and looking for a break below this line here and then continuation after. I think that's fine to look out for in the making. So that's Kiwi Yen. Any question on any of the yen pairs before I move on? So I think someone asked about Euro Aussie, if I can recall. I really don't see much. Someone asked me about, is it sell on Euro Aussie? Yeah, I mean, at the time, I think it was a week ago, I talked about this could be a potential top, but I need to see a lot more development here on the lower time frame to look for possible sell. But I don't see that anymore when this just breaks up, right? This pretty much impulsively break above this high here. So if this is going to start forming continuation on the lower time frame, then I think the sell is not applicable in this case, okay? Because basically all this price action, all this impulsive move usually lead to continuation and continue downwards. But if the price isn't telling you that, then you need to understand that that is what the price is doing. You need to adjust. You need to actually understand what the bearish momentum or the bearish price action may or may not be there anymore. And you need to see that the bullish move may start taking over, right? So this is an impulse breaking up. This double top is no longer valid if we get continuation here to go higher. All right, Euro Aussie, bunch of you guys asking about Euro Swiss. Yeah, I personally think Euro Swiss can have pretty good opportunity or big opportunity for this potential long. If we look at the higher time frame here, um, basically we're having this impulsive move to the upside, and this is a continuation correction. And like how on the lower time frame, we're basically consolidating here. So this is all a sign from the market that if this is going to be a higher time frame, continuation correction, whether you call this a parallel channel or a flag, basically it's telling you that this is an impulse, this is a continuation correction. We can reasonably expect the next impulse up. Now, it all depends on how the lower time frame is developing, like this area here. I mentioned that price can continue to correct here for a little bit longer. So be patient if it doesn't give you that entry point. Right? It has to give you an entry point. It has to convince you that this is going to upside. So basically, by breaking up and there is no breakout after from this point of view, then all this is telling me that, well, the structure gets a little bit bigger now, but we are still correcting in this possible reversal correction on the lower time frame. And the more it corrects here, the better it is for the upside, right? The more it corrects here, the better it is. We're going to see the impulse and then correction to go higher. So be patient here, right? No need to jump in the trade if it's going to continue correcting here. I want to see a reversal correction here to give me the possible buy. Now, if this is assuming it drop down afterwards, then I'm just not interested, right? No entry. I'm going to move on to other opportunities. But if it does continue to consolidate here, the longer it consolidate, the better it is to look for the upside move. Right. So that's Euro Swiss. All right, so moving on, I don't have really not much other pairs I'm looking at. Someone asked about Euro Pound, and the question I always get is Euro Pound going to take off? Um, I if this is all the price that we're seeing, right, kind of a descending structure, then yeah, I do agree price can reach this high. But if we zoom out and on the higher time frame, to me at least, this is an impulsive move down, right? This can easily just be a bearish continuation to go lower. So while there is lower time frame kind of confluence, if you're looking for buy to the top, I think that's fine if it fits your plan. But I'm personally kind of looking at this as a more of a bearish potential. So if you have like a short-term plan to buy up to the top, go ahead and do so if that fits your risk management and things like that. But ultimately, when I see the price will reach this top here, this can easily just become a bearish continuation, go lower, right? So the higher time frame to me, at least from this point of view, at least from the higher time frame point of view, is potential bearish, at least in my view. This moves up, finish this correction, and just to go lower afterward to this low. So that's how I view on Euro Pound. Now let's get into Pound Aussie now. So a bunch of you guys are asking about Pound Aussie. So yeah, a bunch of you guys are looking for sell on Pound Aussie, and yeah, I do agree. I do agree. From Pound Aussie price action point of view, this is a double top in the making. This is kind of a ascending channel structure. Originally, some of you guys are already looking for sell here, and I mentioned, well, we need a little bit more development if you're looking for sell, and we continue to move up correctively, which is kind of what you want to see if you're looking for sell possibility, right? Um, Depending on how you draw the structure, you can probably draw it like this. I think that's fine. You're basically looking for price to push down and continuation down, right? I think that's probably what a lot of you guys are looking at. Um, I'm probably not going to get involved with Panazi unless I see a little bit more bearish commitment, because you see all these moves in this area here is quite corrective. So there's a few sell, and I saw a bunch of you guys either took the sell and then got reversed and took the sell and got reversed. So to me, this is still a correction. Okay, so maybe you're looking at this correction to complete and look for sell, and that's fine, I think. But because how the recent price action has been in this bigger structure here, now this can easily move down, but what if it just moves down here and then just reverse back up again, which is a possibility, right? So can you comfortably fit 3 to 1 here? Can you comfortably enter a position and take profit here before it start reversing up? Because this correction can continue to evolve, right? It can continue to move up like this indefinitely. We don't know, right? This can go on indefinitely. We don't know that either. So entering here is fine, but you just if it hits the bottom here, if it reverses, then you might want to take profit, right? Because this can come up here again and making a bigger structure on its own. That's all, right? Because I'm judging based on just the previous price action, how it has been quite consolidated for quite some time. And this certainly can be the one that takes off. Don't get me wrong, this can certainly be the one that can take off. But just be a little bit aware of this area where price can potentially reach up. Right now, obviously, if it breaks out, and obviously breaking out of this higher time infrastructure, then downside is very, very probable, right? I think everyone can agree with that. But when it's still in a potential consolidation, we just need to be a little bit more careful during this area. That's all. So. Dollar ZAR, I didn't go over dollar ZAR? Okay. I think it was 2 weeks ago, some of you guys asked me what dollars are. I talk about this is clearly a kind of a descending structure, so you're basically waiting for price to break out, right? So I don't know if some of you guys entered this buy position. I think someone showed me a screenshot. I don't know if he took it or not, but this was the screenshot that he took that he was looking to enter. So looks like it's fine, but this move up is quite corrective now, right? It becomes almost like a ascending structure, which I don't really like. You know, obviously this is still a good potential reversal, and we might even just continue to move up like this, hitting the top. But this almost look like it's getting a little bit more corrective in this sense, right? So that's not looking, at least in my opinion, in a bullish kind of impulse. This is more correctively moving up, right? So I don't really like when I see something like this. Now this can just move up and correctively move up. It's still a move up, but what we expect to see is after breaking out of a potential reversal is you want to see impulse correct, impulse like that kind of movement is better to see than you know we're in a potential bullish trend. But because this moves up a little bit more correctively, so it doesn't please me as much, or it doesn't catch my attention as much as something that would be more like this. All right. So that's dollar ZAR. Let's move on to pound Swiss. How do you manage big news coming when trade is open? Again, that's all up to your trading plan and risk management. I personally don't really care too much about news. I'll be very honest. I'm fine leaving positions open when there's news. Now, I don't know if you mean big news like what, Brexit big news, presidential news. Those are bigger news where I would obviously care and not have position. But if you're talking about just simple interest rate, unemployment data, things like that, I'm fine leaving the trade open because that's the time when the market is going to be more impulsive, right? And by closing your positions or whatever, you're never going to catch the impulsive move, right? It's the same idea on euro dollar. The euro dollar, when this move happened, this is the move when FOMC made some news announcement, right? So if we're going to close positions because of news event happen, you're never going to catch the impulsive move because that's the period of time where the market is going to be super high volume. A lot of orders are already in all this area and price just hits down like this, right? So to avoid the news, that means you're potentially avoiding potential move on the price, right? So that's kind of how I see it in terms of news and things like that, okay? But everyone has different management, everyone has different view on them, right? So it doesn't have to be my way or anything, right? It's depending on how you perceive. Of course, everything you do is a double edge, meaning that Sometimes the news will take you in, or sometimes the news will reverse and take out your position, right? That's also a possibility. So you have to be aware of that as well. So. All right, so pound Swiss, I think pound Swiss is looking really clean for downside potential. I talk about this as an impulsive move. This is just a larger correction. We're potentially looking for the downside, right? So it kind of went down, and basically we're just evolving the structure a little bit. I want to see continuation here. That's a key to for continuation downside. So basically, if this is going to break out and then continuation after, that's something that I want to get involved in. If it's going to form a continuation here. The only problem here that I see is because I'm in like Swiss yen. So basically going short on pound Swiss is going against a short on Swiss yen. Now, as I said, I don't really care about too much about correlation, but I still don't want to have two position open going opposite way. I think that's to me. Now, so if even though I do think pound Swiss has potential, but because I'm already in Swiss yen, so I might just let this one go. But I do think there is possibility to go lower if it breaks out and form correction like this. All right. So that's pound Swiss. That is about it. I think someone asked about Kiwi Swiss. Someone's asked about Kiwi Swiss. And I talk about Kiwi Swiss because we're still in this potential continuation correctional structure, right? This is an impulsive move pushing up, right? This is a push to the upside. As long as price is still reasonably in this correction, I still can say that we might get a potential up move, right? Now you can see there's a few attempts to try to break up. I talk about that. There's a few alternative scenario. If this doesn't break up and move down here, potentially will lead to another upside. But looking like it's not looking very clean for another upside move. So if this just breaks down past this price here and then continue lower, then all this is pretty much invalid in my view. Now, but if it's still correcting it in this kind of correctional structure, then I might still be on the lookout for a potential long. Now, nothing here actually fits my plan to enter. Nothing is looking clean in my opinion. So I just expect further consolidation. So this might just consolidate here a little bit longer. So I'm not interested in this. But I will be interested if we see a breakout and then continuation, right? This is still looking like a potential flag, a potential bullish flag, or bullish kind of parallel channel to go higher. Basically looking kind of similar like Euro Swiss, right? The only thing Euro Swiss has is the higher time frame looks a little bit more cleaner in my sense. That's all. All right, so that's Kiwi Swiss. So I think that's all the pair that people are talking about, or that has asked me. Aussie Kiwi, I can take a look. Aussie Kiwi, I don't see much here. Aussie Kiwi is quite corrective sometimes, right? If I'm looking at this, I almost see this as a head and shoulder. First of all, it looks like this is breaking below this, and this might continue lower, potentially to this low. Some other people are talking about potential buy when they see this. When I was looking at this, I was looking at, well, can this be an impulse correction to go higher? But it didn't break out, and it just kind of dropped down. I don't really see any entry point in this space. I see this as a more potential down move, but it's getting so close to this previous low, I don't even think there is potential entry in this sense. Okay, so that's kind of how I see this. For me, at least, I don't see much entry or potential in this area here. So. I don't speak French, my friend. Sorry, I don't understand. I know bonjour and what that means, but I don't know the rest of what you're saying. Sorry, you might have to translate that to English. All right, so that should be all the Forex pairs. Any question on any of the Forex pairs before I move on to commodities and things like that? US 30, yeah, I'm gonna finish commodity and jump to indices. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna jump to indices first. Indices are actually more interesting. So Nasdaq, right? So Nasdaq is the one I'm in currently. Like I said, we talk about this overall higher time frame, right? So everything is looking really clean for this higher time frame structure, and a really strong breakdown from the price. So I basically expect price to just continue to correct here, but possibly even if it forms a more consolidation here, great. That's kind of what you want to see, and look for scaling entry. That's exactly what I would do, to look for a scaling entry. If you didn't catch the move on the top, you're likely to see a bigger correction here. Then you still have quite a bit of room to the lows, right? Basically, it's looking exactly how we would expect indices to move when we look at previous price action. Look how closely these two are. They're basically identical in my view. This is when COVID happened, by the way. This is during last year, 2020, in February. Look how closely these two price action is. It's literally identical, right? You have the same kind of larger parallel channel correctly moving up. Same idea here in the current price action. And you have the lower, smaller ascending channel moving up as well. Exactly the same. And you're seeing the same sell setup, right? So this is all about backtesting and chart work. When you see same thing or similar things happen over and over again, it's just going to add confluence. It's going to add confidence in your trading. That's just how it is, right? You can't expect to be jumping into trading and the next day you know everything, or next month, right? That's not how it works. You have to put in time. You have to put in your chart work. You have to put in your effort. The more you do these chart work, the more you're going to spot these opportunities, because you're training your brain to recognize these patterns, right? You're training your brain to understand, well, I did backtesting, I see this move play out, so that I know that there's going to be a higher probability of this moving out, and I'm comfortably fine entering positions because I know it's going to give me very good risk reward. Okay, so a little bit educational side there. I think it's just, I've been speaking to a lot of traders who are not doing well in trading, and every time when I ask them about backtesting, when I ask them about journaling, they don't do any of that. And I challenge them to understand that, well, if you don't do homework, how you expect to do well on your exams? It's basically that is, right? You don't get to cheat the exam by just study the day before and do well on the exam. It doesn't work that way. It's the same as trading, right? So put in the time, put in your effort. You're able to spot these a lot easier that way. Okay. So we talk about S&P 500. So all these indices basically play out exactly what I've been talking about in my streams. If you guys recall last week when I talked about all the indices are to me looking pretty bearish. S&P 500 was basically staying in this kind of a ascending channel. And if we look at the lower time frame, there's always going to be clue on the lower time frame, right? Now there's not much development here, but you can almost see that this is a structure on its own, kind of ascending like. We have a push down from the price. We have a correction, right? We have a correction here. We push down, mini correction here. We push down again on Friday. Another correction here. And the price is basically pushing down massively now. So kind of how I would see this now is, because we're getting low to this correction here, so you want to be careful. You want to see if price actually will break out and then continue lower, which I do expect it to do. But still, some very odd times we're going to see something like this, right? You're going to see a move down from here and just kind of reverse back up. Now, because we have a few multiple swing touches and swing lower already, I do expect this to break out, but still have to keep an eye on this to possibly have another move up for a up move and then still reverse down after, right? Because as we know, correction can go on indefinitely. So don't be married to your analysis thinking that, well, this move is so sharp, so I guarantee that this is going to move up. Well, not necessarily, right? Not necessarily. It might hit the bottom, like I said, and then start reverse back up. And hit the top here and then forming some sort of top, forming some sort of reversal, and then still drop down afterwards. And everything in terms of price action is still valid. It doesn't change, right? So that's S&P 500. Let's look at US 30. A bunch of you guys are talking about US 30. I personally missed this entry. I was looking at this. I was going to short this, but I did not. Okay, I did not enter this, but I basically have been talking about this move from the top, right? A lot of you guys asked me about this potential top, and I talk about how this can easily be a double top here, and this is a higher time frame structure in the making, because we potentially is going to form something like this, right? And for this move to continue, this has to be a correction to complete before the upside, right? It's very clear. And on the top here, we know that the correction isn't complete. Another move down is very, very possible. And if it ends up bouncing off here to reverse, then this becomes a continuation for this up move. Whereas if it bounce down and break this previous low and then bearish continuation, then this becomes a reversal, right? This is really the key here, is because this pattern is not complete. Okay, this structure is not complete. So, but we know that because of how we know how structure works, we need to have a few swing highs and lows. So the very strong possibility that we're going to get another low here before the potential up move, but if it breaks below this low, then it becomes a reversal down move, right? This is the beauty about price action, is that we know there's a structure here, but we're not 100% sure if this structure is going to be further downside or a reverse from the top, from the bottom here, sorry. But we know that at the top here, when we start seeing reversal price action here, there's very, very good chance that we're going to see a move down to here, and then basically reevaluate what the price will do here. I already give you two scenarios here, right? If the move down from the price here is going to form a potential reversal structure like this, then expect this whole structure to be a bullish continuation. Whereas if we just kind of move down and then break this previous low and form continuation afterwards, then expect this structure to be a reversal correction to go lower. Okay, it's simple as that, guys. So I hope that makes sense. It's as clear as how I try to explain it. So thank you very much, Charlie William. Appreciate the coins there. Thank you. Okay, so does that make sense, guys? With all the indices, how I view on them, basically, seeing them pretty much all bearish across the board. Even this Russell 2000 is looking like we can just break below here, and then if it's forming continuation, then certainly expect this to go lower as well. Okay, I don't have this one as I didn't make analysis or idea, but it's the same idea here, is that this is a bullish move on. We basically form a correction here. I like how there's a double top here and style pattern. We dropping down. Preferably is that price needs to break this low and continue, then it becomes a bearish kind of reversal. But if it hits the bottom here and then start having bullish reversal, then it's the same idea like US 30, same idea like Dow Jones. We move down just to move up and then continue to push up, and this becomes a bullish continuation. Okay, so this is very key to understand that this structure may or may not complete. We need to find out if this low is broken and continue lower, or if it's going to hit this low and then reverse. Okay. Okay, so any question here on the indices before we move on to commodities now? I think we're a good time to move to commodities now. What on my watch this week? I've been going over all that, right? Every single pair that I talk about are the ones that I'm gonna be on watch, right? So US oil. So US oil here. I think it was 2 weeks ago I took a loss here on somewhere in US oil, but the overall price is happening now. So that's just kind of what we're seeing here. We see the strong bearish breakdown, right? I've been talking about this ascending channel and the higher time frame double top, and it just had a sharper pullback where I was not able to catch this, but I took a loss here and price basically formed a correction to push down lower. So Really no entry here for me or anything like that. But what I want to see now is if this is going to break out or something, or start consolidating here, or it breaks out and consolidating here, I think this is good idea to potentially look for another sell down to the low, to this previous low. I think that's fine to expect the price will do. But this move has already happened quite fiercely. It's dropping, see, $4.32. That's a huge drop in my opinion already. So naturally, price needs to correct, or price needs to consolidate a little bit longer before the next downside. But I do like how what oil is doing. It's basically um, when dollar CAD goes up, oil goes down, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing when we see dollar CAD impulsively push up quite a bit. So I'm kind of expecting oil to drop down as well. So we'll possibly looking for something like this in the next couple of days if it develops. Okay. Silver. So silver also is moving down, right? We talk about this higher time frame structure. We finally get a structure here, and price is kind of pushing down now. So I reasonably do think this is all the way can move down to all the way to the bottom here, and then possibly look for that long reversal. We talk about this on a higher time frame that this pattern is not complete, right? We want to see another swing low because we have a few swing highs and we only have one swing low. So at least we need to see a few swing highs and low to classify this as a bigger correction. And this is an impulsive move, so I expect the next impulsive move to go if we get a few swing highs and low. I think that's the really key main thing here to look out for is um, this move has to at least move down to the low here before we can possibly look for a long-term buy, which is the same as gold, we're going to go over after. But price is already pushing down. If we look closely, there's is a basically head and shoulder pattern. And I saw at least some of you guys enter the sell here, so good on your part that you're entering the sell. Again, I do see price can reasonably push at least even to this low, right? So potentially hit this low. Watch out for the price development here. If it breaks through, then I expect hitting the bottom here. And then basically, if it does hit the bottom, watch out for any bullish reversal for the up move. All right, so that's silver. Let's look at gold, please. So gold, talk about this many times. I'm looking for one more move down from the gold, right? A lot of people are saying they're going to buy gold. You know, like I said, follow your plan, follow your analysis. But higher time frame wise, because this move breaking out, right? I talked about this because this move breaking out did not continue, right? This move pushing up, and originally when it broke out that the old structure, this did not continue to go higher because instead it had a reversal down. So all that is telling you that what the structure was once before needs to be evolved to something like this, and understanding that this is a reversal impulse and this likely can be a bearish continuation. So an impulse correction, another move down to this previous low or bottom of this higher time frame structure, either or, this is the area that we're going to be looking for the long-term buy. But as of now, in the short-term wise, I do expect this to have one more move down from the price, which is kind of what we're potentially getting here. So you want to see price to break out, continuation down to the low here. And then this area, if it's going to be bullish reversal, then look for the bullish reversal opportunity. But as of now, as of currently, I want to see a little bit more bearish confluence here if it's going to give us a bearish opportunity. All right, so that is gold. I think someone asked me about platinum, so I'll quickly go over platinum. Platinum, when you're talking about this, that on the higher time frame, to me is a bearish potential, right? We talk about this is the bearish impulse down. This is a larger kind of expanding structure. We have a few swing highs and lows, and this is a double top as well, right? So basically, if we look at the lower time frame, we already have an impulse correction, impulse, and basically this can be another continuation. Now, price can continue to correct, right? So be patient, but if it does break out, continuation lower time frame to look for a sell, right? So my mid to long term outlook on most of these commodities is looking for a potential bearish sell. It's kind of same thing as copper. Copper on the higher time frame, this is a higher time frame double top, and we can see on the lower time frame it's forming potentially into a head and shoulder. So if this is breaking out now, which it is, potentially there is a lower time frame correction, then we can expect price to push down lower. Alternatively, if this is start reversing, well, if it's still within a correction like this, if it's still correctively like this, then this can still be a right shoulder, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And once this correction completes, still can expect a downside afterwards. All right. That is all the commodities. So we went over platinum, we went over copper, gold, silver, and oil. Any question here, guys? Any question on commodities? Sorry, I'm just reading. I'm reading messages. So, any question, guys, so far? If not, I'm going to jump back to crypto. I don't have too much on crypto. I think crypto is pretty bearish across the board. Still is pretty much across the board as well. So I'm just gonna quickly update a few that is reasonable, at least the way I see it. Bitcoin still kind of just consolidating. There is no buy and sell, as I've been saying kind of every week. Until I see this correction completes, I still think this is in the correctional structure. There is not too much buying or selling opportunity at this given moment. Okay, so someone asked about Ethereum. Same idea, right? The Ethereum to me is in the correction. This can easily make the low here, but if it breaks out followed by continuation, that is something that I would be interested in a little bit more. But as of now, it's still in a big correction. Litecoin, same idea. This is the correction that I personally see right now. I do want to see price to break out and then continue, but just watching out this high here. Other than that, I don't really have much. If you can see, not much move here. On Stellar, this is moving a little bit sideways, but not much is developing here for a bullish point of view, right, guys? Now, of course, you can sell crypto, right? If you can trade crypto, you can sell them, but I personally don't like to sell crypto. Like I want to look for long opportunities only. I want to look for long opportunity, right? So all these buys or ideas are long only. I don't really want to be selling crypto. This right now is just kind of what been happening back in 2018 kind of time, right? So expect this to drag on a while and then recover. So expect this to drag on a while and then recover, right? It's basically the same as every other crypto right now in this stance, right? So same idea what we experience here, move down and then correctly move down and then eventually leads to a bullish move. This can start doing the same thing, right? So this is gonna take time, guys. You just have to understand how far, how fierce the move has been. It's just going to be the similar idea here, right? It takes about 2 years of consolidation before the next up move. So 2 years of consolidation before the next up move is possible as well, right? So again, trying to getting in on the sell or buy in the short time frame, it may or may not be best ideal unless we see a little bit more clear structures, right? That is basically all I want to say about crypto. I really don't have much to say. They're all looking all bearish to me in my view, so not interesting in the sell, right? So been talking about an hour and 20 minutes, but I basically went over all the pairs or the ones I'm looking at. But if you have anything that you are wanting to take a look, let me know now. I can retake a look at any of those or any questions you may have. You feel free to ask me now. XPT just broke. It broke, but you need to wait for continuation, right? You want to wait for continuation here for the sell if it does break. If it does correct here to go lower. Euro dollar, briefly went over euro dollar. I think the sell, like I said, the sell has happened, so I'm really not recommending any buy or sell at this moment. I think this is getting a little bit more corrective kind of price action, which is kind of what I'm saying. It's looking a little bit more descending like. So you want to be a little bit more careful here because it's kind of descending, moving down to this previous low. And I mentioned a few scenarios here which we can anticipate to happen is price can move down correctively like this to the low and impulse up, and this becomes a bullish reversal because we're used to this kind of price action. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a reversal, right? Because the bearish move is still quite strong. This can be a correction. It doesn't have to be a reversal correction. It can actually lead into a potential continuation move to the downside, breaking this previous low, and then watch for continuation down for the price. That's kind of how I see potential move developing here. But I will not be buying or selling while it's in this area. I need a confirmation breakout and correction to look for sell. If not, then corrective move to the downside and a first impulse breaking all of this structure first, and then continuation after. Okay, so few scenario here. That's kind of how I will play it. Even thought about risking more than 1% per trade? It's possible if it fits your plan to do. There's no right or wrong. It's your risk management, right? Um, I talk about capital partitioning. I don't know if you were in my Telegram to see that, but if I have $100,000 trading account, I would do a 50-50 split or a 70-30 split. So I'll keep 50 in my trading account, 50 in a saving account, but I would trade it as I have the total capital. Now, but what you're saying is just risking 2% in general on a position or in an account. It's fine if that fits your overall risk management. The problem is traders when they do that, once they take a couple of trades lost, they're at a drawdown, and all sorts of emotion kicks in, and they are basically chasing their losses. They're gonna revenge trade and over leverage. If you can control that emotion, then if you can consistently trade 2% and not start revenge trading or start opening bigger lot size to chase back your losses, then sure, go ahead, right? But a lot of traders cannot, and that's how they blow accounts. So I just want to mention that. I'm not saying you will do that. I'm just saying generally the traders that I speak to, that's what they go through. So pound yen. Pound yen, I talk about that it's looking better now because we actually break out of this structure. This is the current structure that the price is in, right? And even though we didn't impulsively break out, but we still end up breaking out of that, which is good. So if there's going to be correction continuation here, I do expect price to go lower if that happens. And on a higher time frame, it looks clean because we are at the higher time frame top, and there's a reversal kind of price action here. So looking to see if this is going to develop and look for the sell afterwards. Yeah, I saw Tesla. Sorry, maybe I didn't answer. You delete that, but I'll take a look at Tesla right now. I do have a bias of Tesla going long, right? I talk about this potentially there's a few scenarios we're breaking out this potential structure. Either this is going to be a correction to go higher, or we might make another move down to the low to complete a bigger correction, but still moving to the upside afterwards. So basically, if this is not going to be the move upwards, so all we do is adjust the structure, and this move could potentially move down to the lows of here, and all that is telling you that the structure evolved, but it's the same idea that it is a continuation correction for all this bullish move, and we're just forming a larger, deeper correction to go higher. All right, so that's kind of how I see on Tesla. what is the best entry for Nasdaq right now? I don't think there's an entry right now. You want to be a little bit patient here, but I expect a bigger correction to form here if it's going to. So because the price has already moved down quite a bit, right? So you have to know that it's likely to form another correction here. I expect a correction here. So expect a correction like this and look for a potential sell like this if it does happen. I will be looking for a scaling entry if it develops, right? I'm already on one-to-one profit for this one. So if I scale in a position, the most I would lose is break even in this case, right? But the most I can win is like 17, 18% if I do scale in a position here. And if the price does indeed, even just to push down to this low, initial position 10-1, second position probably 6-7-1 down to the low. So we'll see how that play out. Right, it's not going to be ready right away, right? So again, we all need to be patient here, right? Price needs to correct here, and then for the downside. So if you do backtesting, how much data or duration do you use? I made several backtesting videos. If you want to take a look on my YouTube playlist, I made several backtesting videos on different market, like crypto, indices, Forex. Really doesn't matter. But the point is, you need to you can backtest a few ways. But how I do it is I use TradingView to backtest. Right, it has all the free features. I can't recall if the free version allows you to do this. Can someone correct me? But as far as I know, once you have the pro version, which is the cheapest one, you can already backtest this way. So in those videos, I teach how to use TradingView's backtest function. And use that to your advantage. I would backtest past price action data, like something like this, or even something far ahead, because the whole point of you backtesting is, well, let's say when you see a bearish kind of price action like this, right? Where you see a bearish kind of price action on a indices, you want to look back and see if there's any possible entry point and how the price gets there, how the price develops. That's going to help you to train your brain to recognize the same thing over and over again. And it helps you to acknowledge the overall price, how it will naturally move, and you're just going to get more confident to identify them. One of the things when I coach traders, they say they couldn't identify the price and things like that. Again, you have to commit to it, right? You have to put in some work. You can't expect reading some course and then following someone's signal and you become a master in trading right away. It just doesn't work that way, right, guys? So you have to be you have to acknowledge that, so to speak. So that's going to at least put you more in a humble position to grow and learn, rather than like, oh, I joined this guy's group, I buy this guy's course, and I'm not doing well. Something is wrong. Is it me, or is this course wrong, or things like that? I generally think most strategies out there do work. Okay, I generally think most strategy out there do work, but it's the person who's executing the trade that doesn't follow the plan or doesn't have a good enough trading psychology, trading plan, or risk management in place, right? So you can have the best strategy in the world, but if you over risk, you revenge trade, you have bad negative emotion, you don't have a trading plan, all that, then having the best strategy in the world will not help you to be a better trader. All right, so I hope that makes sense, because having the best strategy is one thing, but if you don't have the right mindset, trading plan, risk management, all that key factors, you're not going to be successful in trading, right? You need all those factors. You need to be doing well in all those factors for trading to work. I've seen your backtesting video. You identify impulse and replay before the impulse to see you have entry. But do you think going to a random date and replay like this live market and waiting until you find an entry is good too? Yeah, obviously you can do that if you have the means and the time to do so. you're saying like, let's say you replay to this point and then you just let it replay like that. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to do it this way, it's fine as well. What my way is just quicker because you already see what's going to happen, right? You already identifying a period of time where you know the price has worked out. So by going near this area to look for opportunities, it's going to help you at least to know that, okay, well, I anticipate because I already seen it happen. All of this left now is to teach my brain or teach my head that we're going to identify a potential entry. So where is the entry going to happen? Right? That's kind of how I would say. But there's nothing wrong with what you're saying either. That's probably a more useful way in that sense. So yeah, if you don't know, if you replay without knowing the future, sure, free version, you only have daily candles and replay. Which time frame do you use for backtesting? Any lower time frames? Again, I don't know. Maybe Earth point out maybe the free version only allow you to do daily, but um, the version I use or the plan that I have lets you backtest to like an hour or less or something like that. Then you can replay in an hour. Yeah. Can you replay back to 15 minutes? I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, you can, right? So you're allowed to do smaller time frame. I don't think 1 minute is possible, but 5 minutes or something like that is okay. So, hey, thank you very much, Victoria. Your point are always good. Thank you. Just want to pick your brain. How did you learn to find your specific way to trade? Like, it's experience over time or study for it. Combinations of everything, obviously. I used to trade support and resistance. I used to trade support, resistance, EMA indicator, and things like that. Let me see if I can actually find back in the day ideas. Like I used to trade indicators. This is like years and years, like 4 or 5 years ago, I think. I used to trade something like this. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But eventually what do you want to call it? Eventually I start understanding market more. I start understanding structures more. I start identifying price action a lot more, and I understand that how I used to trade is fine, but I'm not catching the impulsive move. I think that's the biggest reason. I'm not catching the impulsive move. That's the problem here, right? I'm not catching the impulsive move, and I'm a lot of times the trade is just short-lived, so to speak. Um, they're basically just hitting 1%, 2%, and then reverses because we're trading some support resistance. And I realized that um, when I remove all these like support resistance lines, some EMA lines, and things like that, actually the chart is just much clearer and it's easy to identify a lot better. And what ends up happening is I'm catching the impulsive move quite a bit. Whereas something like this, if I used to follow a strategy or a style that I used to trade, I would never catch the impulsive move because there's always some sort of stupid support resistance going across. And by following your plan, you're going to exit the trade here, you're going to exit the trade here, etc. Right? Now, there's nothing wrong with trading like that, but when you combine price action analysis, when you combine potential, let's say, impulsive run, corrective run to support resistance or things like that, it's always going to contradict each other, which is not helping you to identify the potential opportunities, or you're not capitalizing on the potential opportunities. So that's what I mean, right? Like if you trade support resistance, you're probably going to exit here or exit here because that is a support or whatever, right? But if we identify the overall price action and everything, we know that this is just at the beginning of a potential run, right? So do I want to take profit for 1% or potentially I want to take profit for 10%? There's a big difference here in that sense. So that's what I think. So, but in terms of learning it, I honestly watch free YouTube videos, a lot of analysis on TradingView. There's free materials everywhere out there, guys. So don't be paying people right away. Don't be paying people right away. In fact, you might even pay to a person who has really no idea what trading is, right? There's just too many scammers out there. There's too many of these fake people. They act like they know it all. The trading gurus out there promising you result and money. Honestly, don't fall for that anymore, right? Those worked for years ago, but people are getting smarter, and I hope you guys understand that. Don't fall for those tricks anymore, right? People showing you profit after profit on some MT for a platform, those can easily be on a demo account or just Photoshop, right? Anybody can make Photoshop things and just post it on there and say it's a real account. Anybody can post a screenshot saying like I enter here, exit here, but where's their proof, right? Do they have ideas, right? Do they have maybe trading view ideas or anything like that to showcase that they anticipate a move happen or at least analysis? Do they show you live trading accounts, things like that, to actually prove to you that they are in these positions, that they are actually risking their own money into it, right? Things like that. That's something that right away, if you're following signals, if you're paying people, you're subscribing to someone, and if they cannot prove to you all that stuff, then you might be careful that why are you paying money to them every month or whatever, right? So, but I can't speak for everyone. I cannot speak for everyone. Nor am I saying people are all scamming you. There's obviously good professional traders out there that offer the way how they teach, and that's all good, right? But it's in your interest to identify, is the person real or is the person fake, right? If the person is fake, they're going to show you a lot of things that you want to see: money, profits, nice cars, luxury good, because they know people buying to that stuff, right? But if they're not showing you that, if they're showing you really good chart work, they're showing you, actual work that is done by them, and they're showing you proven track records, analysis, forecasting that works out, things like that, real life accounts, then those are the people that you should be trying to learn from, right? So. I'm on the stage of trading support resistance. Hey, like I said, I don't mean anything against any strategy out there. I used to trade support resistance. I used to trade and do well in that. So I have nothing against that, right? It's just if you ask me how I get to this point, well, I started with support resistance and I jumped into a different way of trading after learning about overall price action or about keeping your chart clean and things like that. It's just a different way of seeing the market, right? But there is nothing wrong with trading support resistance, trading Elliott wave, trading supply demand, trading all that stuff. There's nothing wrong, right? I respect all traders who trade differently. I respect everyone who have their own strategy and style. That's all part of the game, right? But the important thing is to identify who you are as a trader and what you want to be, what kind of style you want to approach or use. All that is going to be the most important part, rather than rather than you know uh, rather than kind of just copy other people, right? Because let's say if you trade one way, you're always going to not catch some of the move than other people who are trading other way. Does that make sense? Like if I'm waiting for a setup, I'm waiting for a setup. But some people are waiting for a reversal and they catch the reversal, right? So it's just different method, different strategy, right? It's all about identifying who you are as a trader and what you want to do as a trader, right? Things like that. So pound yen, I talked about a few times, but basically, I like how pound yen is breaking out of this higher time frame structure. And since we break out here, if we get a consolidation or a continuation bearish correction, I expect this sell to go down further. But it has to develop something here first. I'm not jumping in from here. There's no confluence. This move breaks out, even though it's a little bit corrective, but it breaks out now, which is good. So I want to wait for some sort of continuation that's going to look pretty clean for the sell. Okay. So any other question, guys? Happy to answer some more questions if there is. So still life in the 3 position. They pull back a little bit, but I'm fine holding through any pullback, right? That's just the way how we trade. Dollar yen did pull back quite a bit, but if we're going to get a bigger consolidation here, I think that's fine to look for another entry as well. I'm fine looking to see what the price will do. It had a really sharp move down and really sharp move up, but we'll see how this develops. I still reasonably want to see price to eventually hit this low. If it forms deeper correction, great, because we're looking for a scale in entry if it's possible. Swiss yen. Swiss yen still looking to see if prices might consolidate here a little bit and eventually break out, which is what I want to see, and then higher time frame continuation if that develops into what I like to see. And Nasdaq still in Nasdaq. So if Nasdaq does form correction here, then I'll look for a scale in entry as well. Right, so still 3 position running, still all 3 positions, and I think I updated in the beginning. I moved dollar yen and Nasdaq into 1-to-1 profit, and Swiss yen I'm at break even. Right, so. I did go over Euro Yen Aussie. I didn't talk about Aussie Dollar, but I think Aussie Dollar is similar like Kiwi Dollar, where Kiwi Dollar is kind of still in this correction that I thought that another move up is possible, and then the sell down happened, making this as an impulse correction impulse, right? Now Aussie Yen looks a little bit odd kind of thing. I would say this is a little more descending like, but this is still inevitably a impulse down. So this is still impulse down, and this can just be a correction to go lower. Now we break past this low, so if we're going to get continuation here, then I expect price to continue to fall. Okay, so that's kind of how I see, but it's not my best one that I'm looking for. I'm looking for, there's better dollar pairs in my opinion. Euro dollar, talk about this a few times, but basically I'm seeing how the price will get to this bottom here. If it's going to correctively move down and then push up, then bullish potential reversal to the top here. But if it's just going to impulsively break down followed by continuation, then I think the dollar will get more strength in that sense. So that's Euro dollar. Have a good week, Victoria. Nice seeing you, bud. Nice seeing you. All right, so that's Euro dollar, Aussie dollar. I think that's about it. Anything else? Not much. I think that's all the ones updated. Just these 2. Let me see what else. Yeah. That's about it from me, guys. But if you're new to me, if you like any of these ideas or lessons, things like that, everything I do is, or most of the things I do, it's free. So you can watch all my YouTube videos. This is where I share all my educational lessons. I have all these price action videos that you can learn from. It's all in the playlist. You can learn all the structures and patterns that I talk about. I have these workshops where basically talk about everything you want to know about price action analysis. These are pretty good workshops that I do. Risk management, trading psychology, it's all videos in here. So you're welcome to take a look at them if you want. Trading views where I share all my ideas and forecasting, things like that. I don't do signals, so please don't ask me to tell you to buy or sell. I don't do signals. The best response to that is I didn't get to where I am today in terms of trading by following people's signal. I think that's always the most convincing thing I can say to people. If I was to follow signals, I would never become the trader today I am. Never. So I always want to teach people to how to actually read the charts, do your analysis, work on your trading plan, trading journey, your risk management, psychology, things like that. That's how you're going to be a better trader overall. Okay, so And Telegram channel, everything is free here. I post analysis, ideas, educational lessons, trade recap, all the things I do here is going to give you updates on everything I do. All right, so. What time frame do you use after breakout for entry? Lower time frame. So any lower time frame that is anything under 2 hour, 1 hour. So for something like this, it really doesn't matter much if you think about it. I'm looking at the 15-minute chart. If I go to 30 minutes, it's the same correction, right? It doesn't change, right? It's the same correction developing. So anything under 2 hour, 1 hour, it's going to tell you the same thing. We drop down to the price because we can see the development a little bit clearly, but it's not necessarily. All you need to know is that after the impulsive move happened, there is a period consolidation. So you're just trying to enter at the period consolidation every time, right? So whether you look at it on a 1 hour or the 15-minute, it's telling you the same thing, right? Last question here. How often do you recalculate the 1% your capital each week? I would say each trade. Okay, let me repeat that. Each trade that you take profit on, when you realize the profit. So let's say your account size is 1,000. You took one trade that earned $30, like a 3-to-1. So after that, my account is $1,030 now, right? So my 1% now will becomes $10.30. Does that make sense? So every trade, so you're instead of compounding monthly or compounding weekly, you're compounding per trade. Okay, I hope that makes sense, because that's how you're going to grow your account, right? I made this video about compounding interest. If you're interested, you can watch that. Or is it on TradingView? I can't remember. This video, you can watch this compounding video that I made. This will explain basically everything about compounding as well. So basically, I'm compounding each position trade so that every time when I realize profit, I can compound it and compound the next trade. But if you're on a losing streak, then you're also negatively compounded because you're protecting your capital. So let's say you start with 1,000, you lose 3 trades, you're down at 970 now, right? So instead of still risking 1% of 1,000, which is $10, now you're risking $9.70. So whether you're compounding growing or compounding negatively, you're controlling how much you're risking per trade, okay? Do I take trades on TradingView? I don't. I just use it for analysis. I take all my trade on my phone or on my broker app. This is what I do. I don't need to link them. You can if you want. I personally don't. I just do it this way. Like I mostly execute my trade on my phone. Actually, I don't even use I don't use my desktop or I don't use my laptop to open or launch the broker app. I do everything on my phone. It's just the easiest way to do, right? The phone is the easiest way to do. And the thing is with phone is a lot of new traders just randomly punching trades in on their phone. I mean, like, of course, everyone, like, I don't want to say, like, don't use your phone to execute trades, but if you're having a problem with, you always gonna have to look at your phone, always checking your positions, always like trying to enter positions, then you might need to work on that aspect, right? I don't need to. Like, I barely even open my broker app. I probably open it like twice a day or even less. I mean, once you set the stop loss, once you set the alert, you really don't need to, right? The more you check your phone, the more you get emotional on it because you're seeing the numbers go up and down, right? So you see profit come, profit go, profit come, profit go. Well, that's standard, right? Because the price is moving. But if you're looking for the move down, price is going to pull back, rebound, pull back, correct? Is your emotion going to swing high, swing low, swing high, swing low, get negative, get positive, get negative, get positive, right? That's just going to create such a negative emotional drum on any traders, right? and especially if you're trading larger and larger capital, whereas every pip that it moves is, quite a bit now, right? It's not just few cents anymore. It's few dollars, tens of dollars, or hundreds of dollars every pip. When it's like that, that's just going to create such a negative emotion in your mind. It's hard to sustain that, right? So try to not look at the broker. Try to understand. You set your stop loss, you set your alerts. Looking at them will not change them, right? It's not going to make them go faster or go, it's not going to make them go towards your direction or go oppositely, right? It doesn't matter. It won't change anything. All that change is your emotion because the money keep fluctuating and you're getting very, very stressed out seeing money move up and down, right? So try to avoid that if you can. So any last minute question before I wrap everything up? I'm going to wrap it up now. I will always do, I'm gonna do a weekly update on Wednesday. So midweek market update on Wednesday, same time, New York session. And we'll see how these positions go. Like I said, I am looking for possible scale in. If Nasdaq does develop some correction here in the next 1 or 2 days, I will look for a sell. I think dollar yen could still lead to some potential sell opportunities as well if we just get better price action here to sell after. Swiss yen, I think it's totally fine as well, as long as it doesn't reverse from here. If it's not going to reverse, then I will take some profit or whatever the case. But looking at other yens right now, I think it's fine. Okay, so we're just going to see how it goes. And the dollars, I mentioned pound dollar, dollar CAD as well. So we'll see how these goes. We'll see how next couple of days goes. But generally, I do see the indices market are pretty good. I do expect, I can reasonably expect, like say Dow Jones or things like that, or Nasdaq or S&P to continue its bearish trend. This is just the beginning of the week, right? We might just get a whole bearish week as well. So we'll see how that goes. S&P 500 dropped quite a bit. If we could break out and continue, then expect further downside, of course. I think Nasdaq is looking just as good as well. We're just at the beginning of this potential higher time frame reversal, right? So there's bound to be more opportunity to the downside. Even if it breaks out and continue, I think there's a lot more room to the downside as well. So again, patient, right? And the last thing I want to finish up is patient, of course, because when this move correctly move out, I've been talking about that potential sell. I've been talking about the opportunity, but only if it presents itself. As the price continuously to move up correctively, I mentioned there's no need to get in on the buy because it's all corrective move up. And especially the higher time frame is telling you a potential bearish possibilities, right? So buying here and there is just going to be relatively short-lived because how the price always moves, it's going to be correctively moving up, but a super sharp move to the downside. That is how the indices move, right? Do some backtesting, you will see them play out over and over again, and it's going to build confidence in yourself to identify them as well. Okay, so I hope this helped some of the traders who are still grasping this concept. The more backtesting you do, the more chart work you do, the more the market rewards you. Okay, so the less you do, the less you put in your time, the less you do, the less effort that you put in, the market basically punish those traders. Okay, so that is it from me, guys. That is it from me. So I will chat with you guys all hopefully next time. Let me just see. I already answered that question from VP King actually, so you might have to rewatch it to see. All right. So I'm gonna stop it right here, guys. Hope to chat with you guys all next time. If you have any question, message me on Telegram. All the information is there. So see you all on Wednesday. Thank you very much.